Coach, welcome to the show. You've been on the show a couple of times, so really welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's always good to be here with you.
Definitely. Coach Garza, you're out there in San Perlita, and my understanding is you guys just started school just a couple of days ago. What's the feel there like at SP in the community and with you guys going back to school?
Well, you know what, Kevin, just like everybody else, I mean, we started work this week, and of course, it's all online, it's all virtual, and the kids come back next week. But just like everybody else, it's a very big transition for everybody, for teachers and administrators, and it's going to be a big transition for the community, the kids. Even though we kind of went virtual back in March when this whole pandemic thing started, now we're starting the year like this, and I mean, for myself, it's a very big transition. It's about being able to transition into this new year being virtual, and then me having to learn a lot of new things that I'm not used to learning. Whether it's providing instruction online and meetings like technology meetings and so on and so forth. I'm having to learn a lot of new things that I'm and in a way it's helped me grow as an educator and as a coach. But just like everybody else, it's a big transition. But everybody from the teachers and administrators and the kids, we're doing the best we can with the situation that we have at hand right now.
With you guys, you'd mentioned, when the pandemic first started back in March, everyone had to jump into that boat of online learning.
Right.
And for some folks, it might not be as easy. For some, it is. But now that you have, with you mentioning that you're not very tech savvy, now that you have that experience, and maybe some of the teachers around you have that experience with the online learning, do you feel now you guys are maybe a step ahead than where you were in March?
Oh, absolutely. One thing that we did do, as a district, I mean, we adapted fast. We had to. We had no other choice. The way it all came about was we didn't miss a beat. We figured out that it had to be done virtually, and in a way, yes, we did get a head start because it's kind of almost like a continuation of how the school year ended. So I think this has opened up a lot of eyes as far as education. There's always more than one way to do things, but there's more than one way to teach, more than one way to coach. So in a way, it's opened up a lot of doors for a lot of educators, and I know I'm speaking for myself. Again, not know, if the pandemic never starts or never happens, I'm never forced to use these tools that I've never used before or have never had to learn. Obviously, I've had a lot of help around me, and again, with teachers and administrators and coaches. So I was able to adapt pretty well because of the help that I have. But I do feel that we do have some kind of a head start, and we're ready to go. When school starts, and we're ready to go full force.
Have you been on campus yet this week?
I have not been on campus for quite a while, a couple of weeks.
And the plan is for the kids to come back face to face next week, or was it online?
No. We're starting all virtual. We're starting all virtual for the first couple of weeks. We're not allowed to go face to face. We have our health county regulations that we can't go face to face. So we're not going to be going face to face for I know for at least the first 4 weeks, and then after that we'll, I guess, revisit the situation and see what happens and see what happens from there. See what the COVID situation is. It's going to be a lot of, obviously some difficult decisions, but I think, first and foremost, the most important thing is that we have, as much as everybody wants to go back and be back on campus, the most important thing is the health and safety of all the students and all the teachers in the community. So that's the most important part, and I guess we'll just see what happens several weeks from now. And this information changes day to day. So we learn to adapt, pivot, and keep moving.
Definitely. And from a sports perspective, you've already seen us. We've been active in the Coastal Bend area,
right?
And they're already full blown with athletics, and we've seen a couple programs shut down but revamp up again. As an athletic director, looking at the big picture, how are you feeling where this program is going, or where your athletics are headed right now?
Well, obviously, our athletic program at San Perlita, where we always have high expectations and high standards, and we're always looking at the bigger picture. It is kind of frustrating when you see teams in the Corpus area or in Central Texas already working and having games. There's even been programs, Kevin. There's an athletic program in our district, in our competitive district. Now that we moved down to 1A, we have a program in Tilden that they never stopped. Their cases are so low, so they never stopped. They were able to do their sports specific stuff. They were able to work out all summer. They're in face-to-face instruction right now. So obviously as a competitor and as a coach and the kids, we feel like they're getting ahead while we're staying stagnant. But I mean, Kevin, it's out of our hands. What can we do?
Right.
And I would rather be safe than sorry. And I think this pandemic thing is more of a marathon than a sprint. I would rather, once we start the season, knowing that we're going to finish it instead of having interruptions because of outbreaks. But obviously, we always look at the bigger picture and we always think making deep playoff runs. Well, when that comes hand in hand, that you're going to face teams out of the valley, and we work year round to be able to, when we get to the playoffs, we want to be ready and prepared and a step ahead of our competition. And right now it's difficult. It's hard. It really is. But Kevin, I'll tell you this: if it's one thing that the players and the kids in all our athletic program, not just my team, but the kids at San Perlita, they always answer. They answer the challenge. They answer the call, and they're one way or another, we're going to be ready when the time comes. When the season does start, in every sport, we're going to be ready, and we're going to catch up on the ground that we lost and some, because that's the kind of kid that we have. And we have very competitive kids. We have kids with a lot of heart, and simply, Kevin, just don't like to lose. So right. And even though we're kind of stagnant right now, I have no doubt in my mind that once we do get past this, because we're going to be right where we need to be when the time is right.
Definitely. And then there's this whole other side of it with the bigger schools that have football. Right. And, right now where volleyball for you guys should be right. Having games right now. Starting with your volleyball program, what has that degree of difficulty been like for your coach and your volleyball program?
Well, just a lot of frustration. Again, especially going back to seeing teams in the Coastal Bend and teams out of the Valley, already working out and practicing and having games. Obviously, they feel the exact same way as we feel, and with our cross country program and our basketball program, knowing that we have a great group of girls in our volleyball team this year. But again, just a lot of frustration, just a lot of anticipation. We want to get started, and we want this pandemic to get better so we can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And right now there's just a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's the most frustrating part, not only for our volleyball program, but for everything, for class to class instruction, to cross country, volleyball, basketball. The toughest part is the uncertainty. It's not like there's somebody's going to say, okay, in such and such date, it's over, we're going to get right back to work. That's not the case. So, obviously our volleyball girls want to get back at it. They want to compete. They every year they take a step. Last couple of years they take a step forward into the right direction. They went 3 rounds deep last year in a very competitive district. Played a very tough team in the 3rd round. Have a lot of girls back. And this is another year to come and compete for a district title and try to make another deep playoff run, which I know they can. So. Like I said, Kevin, the girls will be ready when the time is right. Once they roll into district and the playoffs are here, they'll be ready. There's no doubt in my mind.
See, for football and for all the cross country, for the schools that are here in the Valley, their problem is, while say Hidalgo County will allow teams to start participating, Cameron County might not allow that. Willacy might not allow that. So I think that's one problem that the Valley has. But for you guys, since y'all are a 1A school, you're not competing against Valley teams. So I think once you guys are ready to go, the majority of your district should be ready.
Well, we do have 2 teams in our district that are from the Valley. So we got San Isidro, we got La Sara. They're in our county. San Isidro's out in Stark County. It might be a little bit easier for us, but I get what you're saying with each county has the different regulations. so it is tough, and especially for football, and I know a lot of football coaches feel the same way I do, as far as they're not being able to get to work right now, and teams outside of the valley are working, and a lot of those, these coaches want to get back to work, and these kids that are going to be seniors, a lot of these kids are going to be seniors, they want their seasons, and they want to be able to, play, whether it's cross country, whether it's any sport, they want to be able to play their last year in high school, and then we think about the bigger picture. Some of these kids need their last senior year to get a chance to play at the next level, so it's crucial for a lot of these kids to come out and they work so hard year round for so many years to get here and say, well, we can't play because of the pandemic. In a way, it's not fair, but that's the card that's been dealt to us. So it's tough for everybody across the board, for coaches and players and the communities, and it's tough. It's frustrating, but like I said, our hands are tied, and it's tough for everybody.
Moving on to the basketball side of things, you're the head coach there at San Perlita for the boys side. Seeing the shakeup that UIL put out, whether it's only 27 games, it's a little bit of a later start. I think the big kicker for me and a lot of coaches that I talked to, you included, was the tournaments.
Yes.
I didn't allow any tournaments whatsoever, and I know you could probably agree to this. Or a lot of coaches felt that the tournaments is where they can work out the kinks, they can try some different things, and try and get that chemistry going for teams that kind of need those kind of those things that need to be worked on. For those, the new look schedule, what stood out for you?
The no tournaments, absolutely, and again, I understand why that decision was made. Obviously, in huge tournaments, you have big crowds, a lot of schools, you have a lot of fans. So I do understand that. But just like you said, Kevin, a lot of everybody uses these tournaments to work on different rotations. What works, what doesn't, what needs to be worked on, what kind of lineups do you want to show at any kind of particular time in the game. And for example, we host a tournament very early in the year, and it's the first week once our games are able to get started, and that's one of my favorite moments of the season. I love hosting our tournament. It's a great event for the community.
Hospitality room.
Yeah, we gotta
give a shout out to the hospitality room.
Top-notch hospitality room. And that's that hospitality, they do a good job. A lot of people pitch in for that and cook and do a great job. And it's a big tournament. We have 12 teams on the boys' side, 12 teams on the girls' side, and a lot of really good competitive teams, a lot of great teams, a lot of well-coached teams. And that early tournament, I love it for us because it gets us going for the season. It gets our basketball legs, so by the second week, we got 5-6 games in. We've played a lot of games, and it gets us into some kind of tune. Then we have our Christmas. We always play in the Christmas tournament because our district play is always in early January. We start in early January, and I love our Christmas tournament because it gives me a chance to finish those final kinks on our team, whatever, that way we can be in tune for district. And I feel a big part of the reason why we're able to go into district play the last several years in top 4 is because of our Christmas tournament. It's, you get that 3-day break in per UIL during the Christmas break, and that tournament allows us to get our legs back and gets all the rust off. And and not only that, Kevin, but the kids look forward to the tournaments. It's a chance for team building, for them to hang around a lot. For example, we obviously we had 3 tournaments this year, the one we host, and then the other 2 were out of town tournaments. They're going to be overnight tournaments, and the kids look forward to those tournaments. The players look forward to those tournaments, including myself. I love hanging around the players, and they're a great group of young men, and it seems like every overnight tournament we go to, we come back as a tighter unit, and it's a lot of fun, so not only now, I don't want to say lose out, but not only are for myself as a coach, am I wired in a way to where I use tournaments for certain purposes? Now it maybe, that chance of the camaraderie, the team building, the hanging around each other a little bit more. We lose out on that, but in a positive way, I was, glad to see that the UIL is making every opportunity for us to have a season. We before they made that decision, I was worried that they would push back the date further or not have a season. And I'm thinking to just give us some kind of a season, and I want the kids to feel like they're working for something, and so, there's no tournaments, so, but I'm glad that, again, that we're hopefully going to have a season and that UIL's trying to have a season for us and the kids.
Right. And it's a 27 game season. I'm not sure as far as your schedule goes, but
right.
if you can share, or what are some games maybe that you already have set in date? Is your schedule complete?
Yes, our schedule's complete and full. Obviously, when we lost those 3 tournaments, UIL said, well, now you can play up to 27 games. So when we dropped the tournaments, there was several dates I had to fill. So as soon as they made that announcement, I got on the phone quick, made phone call to coaches, text messages, trying to pick up games. Not only any game, Kevin, but games that are going to push my players, that are going to push my team and get the best quality opponent. And we were able to do that with every single open date that happened because of the no tournament rule. And this I can say with our schedule, I mean, it's going to be tough. Game in and game out. We're going to have to show up. We're going to have to get better. And I know my team can compete with every team that's on our schedule, but there'll be no nights off. We cannot relax because we're playing some very, very, we're playing very, very good 5, 6A playoff squads for the most part. Very well coached, very fundamentally sound. I mean, just tough playoff teams. Some teams that we played last year and some new teams that we were able to pick up this year. So, we lost on our tournaments, but I want to say pound for pound, game per game, I think our schedule's tougher now than the way it was when we had our tournaments.
We saw I see this every 2 years with district realignment football coaches having to scramble for football games.
Right.
I know a couple years ago when 32 6A had to play West Texas, they really had to scramble for those games. There's a degree of difficulty when it comes searching for games. Was it difficult for you to look for these games, or did it come as easier as you thought, or how did that work out on finding those games to fill for the tournaments?
It came easier than I thought. I think a lot of it had to do with I got on the phone right away. And some teams, I think what helped was some teams that we played last year that we couldn't pick up this year because of district realignment. Some districts got bigger. I was able to contact those coaches. Hey, let's pick up our game. And with this year you played at our place, but we'll go play at your place this time. So I think me picking up the phone really early helped. And again, just the coaches that I contacted for games, they're great coaches. They're great guys. Also looking for games. So we were able to set up games very, very quickly. I think by the second day that UIL made that announcement, I had my schedule full. So again, I was excited with the opponents that we're going to play because it's going to push our kids and it's going to get us better.
I think a question we all want to know is Santa Rosa on the schedule, or is that something we have to wait and see?
No, they are. They're on our schedule. Obviously, we had that big game at the AT&T Center this past year, which was an amazing experience. I mean, I know you were there. It was an amazing experience. We were, two really good teams going at it, and then obviously seeing the players warm up in pregame, for their shoot around and having that NBA game. The kids really enjoyed it. But no, yeah, they're on our schedule, and that's a team that has a lot of kids back. Very, very well coached. I mean, they got one of the best coaches in the valley there at Santa Rosa, and we always look forward to that game. Hopefully we put on a good show when we play them.
You froze there just for a quick second, Coach, but we're joined by Coach Nate Garza from San Perlita, head basketball coach over there with the Trojans. Coach, looking at this next well, I was going to say before we move on, but to think that March game was just this past year, it feels like it was a really long time ago. That when we were up there in San Antonio, it feels like a long time ago, but it was really just.
Oh yeah, that game was it the Thanksgiving break?
Right. Yeah.
It was Thanksgiving break. It does feel like such a long time ago, but it was an amazing experience. The kids, even I had a lot of fun coaching on that floor. So I mean, I can just imagine how our players felt, the Santa Rosa players felt. It was an amazing experience. You know, I'm glad we were able to do it.
Definitely, and now looking forward to next year. You know, we got guys like Eli Terry back, James Herrera. He's going to be a senior. Max Graciani, he really came into his own. What's the feel like right now? I know we're a ways from the season, but the expectations are always there with you and your program. But what can we expect? What's to look forward to when it comes to the Trojans this year?
Well, just like you said, we still have very, very high expectations. You know, nothing has changed. I will say that we do have most of our team coming back. We graduated 3 kids. For the most part, the bulk of the team were sophomores. So we'll have most of our team coming back for the next 2 years. You know, so the bulk of our team is coming back. We have a lot of great young pieces. Obviously, like you mentioned, we have Eli Terry that's going to be a junior. We have our starting point guard, Diego Ortiz, back. He's going to be a junior. Obviously, James Herrera is going to be a senior. That kid's been in varsity for me since his freshman year. We have several kids back. Benny Gutierrez, which played really well for us down the stretch come district time. You know, we have Eloy Zamorano, Sam Barrera, and we have another kid coming to us that wasn't that was in JV. We got some kids, the bulk of the team coming back, and they're hungry, Kevin. They want to prove. You can kind of say that we're kind of coming into a new era in San Perlita basketball with the graduation of Tyke Johnson. So they want to prove, and they're hungry that they can win, and they've proved it. They proved it in times this season, you know. And I go back to our second round game where Ty goes down. You know, Ty goes down. I mean, you know, early in the first quarter against Fall City. You know, and it's a close game. You know, and we get to the third quarter. I had not one seat. It was all sophomores and James. You know, and Benny, but all, you know, no seniors on the floor in that third quarter when we blew up that lead. So, you know, we expect to see some fun basketball, some kids getting after it. And like I said, I mean, the standards are still the same. We want to obviously capture our 4th district title in a row. We want to make a deep playoff run, and kind of in a way finish what we didn't get to finish this past season. You know, and I think this season we really didn't have closure. It ended the way it was not supposed to end. Did you freeze? You're back.
Yeah,
You look like you froze. But anyway, you know, again, I'm excited that we have the bulk of the team back, and I think with the whole pandemic thing, I think that's one of the things that favors us is that pretty much all the kids coming back know the system, know my expectations, they know the standard. But most of all, they're hungry, they're excited, and they've been working hard all summer. So again, I don't expect to miss a beat. You know, we're, like I said, we'll be just fine. We're ready to go.
I think the most impressive player we saw this year and really develop was Max Graciani, and him really, I believe he would be the guy in line to take that torch from Tig as far as a position goes on the court. Just how good can Max be?
He can be very, very good for us. And no, I mean, I'll tell you this, he's going to be really good for us. You know, and you mentioning how you feel he can be the next player to replace Tig. He started in his place in our third round game, you know, and man, that kid could just rebound the basketball for us. I mean, you just see him getting after it in the paint, you know, and every now and then you'll see him make a move like, wow, like where did that come from? You know, but like you said, I think as the season went on, you know, he grew, he developed his confidence. The kid is still growing. He's going to be a really good player for us, and he's going to be a player that I'm going to look to obviously play a much bigger role this season. Obviously, he at times didn't play much. He would come off the bench for Tig, and you know, Tig would play most of the game when healthy. So, you know, Max is a kid that he's a kid that, you know, I think him starting in the third round in a basketball game was huge for him because he's been there, the experience. So I think him and he can be huge for us, and I think the players around him are going to be huge for us. You know, you saw players like Eli Terry, that kid is just getting started, I feel. That's a kid that we're going to ask to play a much bigger role as well. The supporting cast that was for this year, they're going to be, some are going to step into starting roles, some are going to be 6-man roles. I'm excited for Max. I'm excited to see him grow, and as well the other kids that we have coming back.
Definitely. And, taking a look back, these last couple of years, we've seen your program gradually, grow. You guys had that 3rd round hump. You guys get over it. You guys make it to the regional tournament. And this year, it's just the big what if, if Ty doesn't get hurt, sky's the limit with you guys and what the way the regional tournament mapped out. But, starting back on that regional tournament team, having guys like Noah and Brian Herrera, Parker Willis, and, Ty was still young at the time.
Yeah.
And those guys. But just what was special about that year, and what was the difference in getting over that 3rd round hump?
Well, I'll tell you what, the thing that was special was that group of kids. That group of that team, Kevin, went through so much. And we talk about that 3rd round hump. Most of those kids were seniors, and they had been through those bumps, the frustration and the sadness and the crying in the locker room after we lost, in the 3rd round for 2 years in a row. And we always talked about getting over that hump. That team that year was on a mission, Kevin. I mean, since the year started, we were on a mission. And that group was really tight, and you mentioned a player, Brian, and every year there's always a kid that just, he grows so much from one year to the next. And Brian Herrera was that player for us. He was a player when he was a junior. He played some varsity for us. He played some JV for us, and he was just, and at times he would play a very, very limited role in games, not many minutes. But something happened to that kid in the summer. I mean, we talked about, he played ball and he was just playing at another level to where he started for me his senior year, and he was huge, and I think we had Noah Olivares that was a starter for me since he was a sophomore. Now he was a senior. Julian Herrera been in varsity since he was a sophomore, and when he was a sophomore, he'd come off the bench. I had 3 senior guards at the time, and he'd come off the bench for them. And, the bulk at Parker Willis also. And that team had been through so much, and that regional tournament team was on a mission to get to the regional tournament, we were able to get to the regional tournament. Obviously, we wanted to get further. We ended up losing to Hearn that year. That got to the state tournament. But that group of kids, I'll say it, time of that group of kids was just very, very special. We had 5 seniors on that ball team. We had a lot of experience, and that's something that's big when you have a lot of experience, and most of that team was back from the year before, we played really good ball that year, and I think experience was huge, but I think most of all, that built up a frustration of year in and year out, losing in the 3rd round, that is what motivated us to get to the regional tournament. And again, we talk about the frustration of the 3rd round. Like, getting to the 3rd round alone is an amazing accomplishment, but we strive for bigger things. We always talk about getting to the state tournament, and that was the goal that year. We just fell short to a very good Hearn team. We didn't shoot the ball well at all, and it bounced our way, but it was a great season, and it was a really fun season also.
And last year as well, you guys really just picked up where you left off, and you guys were on the brink of the regional tournament. What were some things you guys had to adjust to? With one, the kids having to understand that whatever happened last year was last year, and this is a completely new ball club. And I think it starts with losing those 5 seniors that you had to replace from the regional tournament team.
Kevin, we actually lost 6 players from that team.
Right.
We actually lost 6 players. And it's funny how you said, we kind of picked up where we left off. Kevin, this was a brand new team. We, out of that regional tournament team, we only returned 3 players that actually played a lot. We had one guy, we had one kid, Eli Terry was at the varsity. He was a freshman. He would hardly see the floor. And then we had Gabriel Lopez that was a junior. Started seeing some time in district time and playoffs, but we really only returned 3 players that really played. And then we lost who was going to be our starting point guard. We had Jake Howell that was going to be our starting point guard that was playing some amazing ball that summer. We lost him. He moved out of state. So we ended up losing 6 players, and now the bulk of our team either hardly played the year before or were in the JV, and yes, we had 3, we had some really good pieces back, obviously we had James Herrera back and we had EJ Nieto back, who was our point guard, but we moved him to shooting guard this year. And then we had Ty Johnson, and then we had Gabriel Lopez back from that team, and Eli Terry, but out of those 5, only 3 really played a lot. And so we were going to count on the development of the kids. We had 5 sophomores on the team. Then we had Benny Gutierrez, who's going to be a junior coming from the JV. So we had several new faces. And when we played, we played summer leagues and weekend tournaments over the summer. And you can tell we really did have some chemistry issues and just getting to know each other. So, we knew that even though we had some really good pieces back, obviously including Ty Johnson, the success was going to come with the development of our youth. They were asked to grow up in a hurry. We losing 6 players, and they did. We had our we ended up losing who was projected to be our starting point guard in Jacob Howe, and then Diego Ortiz ended up starting for us as a sophomore as our starting point guard. So that team, like you said, they grew up fast, and we were playing against some amazing basketball, especially come district time. Obviously the season didn't end the way we wanted it to, but the way the kids came together, the way the young group developed, and then we talk about, we had Brian Herrera the year before that stepped up huge in his senior year. This year, it was Gabriel Lopez from, coming in, being our defensive stopper, defensive player of the year. He was a senior all-star, would hit big shots for us in crucial moments, and he was just a tough-nosed player, he was huge for us, and so it took the growth of him and Eli Terry, Diego Ortiz, Max Graciani, those guys, to the players around EJ Nieto, James Herrera, Ty Johnson for our success, because we always talk about, what happens if somebody's in foul trouble, and somebody gets hurt, and obviously, this year that did happen, but this group, they came together and obviously the way it ended, we never felt like we got closure with the season. We ended up losing Ty Johnson early in the first quarter in a second round game. But I'll tell you what, Kevin, we huddled back up and the rest of the guys didn't blink an eye. We were ready, and we were able to win that game, because the kids believed, that we can win, no matter who's on the floor, and I believe that we had the personnel to win the third round game. We just didn't play well. We didn't shoot the ball well, but I strongly believe we could still get to the regional tournament, with Ty Johnson being down, but again, and we talk about the what ifs, and it's something that still bugs me, but I believe in my heart truly that, if Ty Johnson is healthy, I really do feel we get to the regional tournament. We're talking about one of the best players in the state, and I'll say this, I also strongly feel that if he's healthy and he's playing, I really like our chances, and I think we do get to the state tournament, just because I knew what our team is capable of when fully healthy and how we could play, so, I think that was the toughest part for our team, is knowing that we could have gone further, but it happened. Nonetheless, I was still really proud of my team. The way we still came together in the second round, and if we look at the bigger picture, I think we could have gone to the state tournament this year, but I think the way the season ended is going to be huge for us going forward, because we got the majority of the team back. We were able to make a playoff run without one of our best players. And so I think that was a big confidence booster for the whole team. So looking at the bigger picture, it might have helped us. Obviously just kind of frustrating when the season, it didn't end the way we wanted it to. But to say that we could have gotten a state tournament with pretty much almost a brand new team, I mean, it just says a lot about the kind of kid we had, the kind of player that we have. That we just want to play ball, Kevin. We want to go out there, play hard, have fun, and just get after it. And I really love coaching these kids. I mean, they work hard. They're a great group of kids, not only to coach but just to be around.
I know one thing I do miss is the open gym in the summers. Trying to go out there and run with you guys. Those are fun.
Yeah, those are fun. The open gyms we have in the summer. I mean, we just have fun. We blast the music and we play ball.
Definitely. And talking about, sticking with small school basketball, you guys were a 2A these last few years. You guys now are 1A. But seeing small school basketball in the Valley really grow and really, take the Valley by storm when it comes to Santa Rosa and the things they've done. Right. You guys right there down the road. Santa Maria made the regional tournament this year. Right. And just speak for small school Valley or small school basketball in the Valley and what it means and just how special is it?
Small school basketball, I'll say this. The first thing is there is a lot of talent in small schools, period. But we talk about small school basketball, there's a lot of great players in the small school level. We talk about Santa Rosa, we talk about, us, Santa Maria always has some really good players year in and year out. San Isidro also, that's in our district, historically has always has really good teams, really good players. So the small school has, I'll say this, small school they have a lot of talent, a lot of talented players, a lot of amazing coaches as well. And the feel that you get, like you walk into, like when we play Santa Maria in district games, I mean, that place gets loud. It's a great playoff atmosphere every time we play them, or when we would play San Isidro. I mean, the atmosphere it's the adrenaline rush, schools and the community take a lot of pride, and I'm pretty sure there's a case for a lot of programs, but small school basketball, I mean, those gyms get packed, and you see the basketball games, and that's the event of the night, especially when you have those rivalry games, and when you do, us against Santa Maria, San Isidro, it's always really competitive, and then you have Santa Rosa, obviously been to the state a couple of times, been to the regional tournament. I mean, just the talent that these teams have. I mean, it can't go. It has to be noticed, and I think you guys do a good job promoting these kids. We have a lot of really good players back. Santa Rosa is going to have a lot of good players back. I think Santa Maria has a really good player coming back. I think he's one of the best players in the Valley coming back. So small schools they have a lot of really good kids, a lot of good athletes, really good coaches. And a lot of small schools have made deep playoff runs. You talk about us making the regional tournament, and then Santa Maria making the regional tournament this year, a team that was in our district, right. So it's no easy, and I speak for small schools obviously, but it's no easier making a deep playoff run in a small school or big school. I think it's equally as difficult no matter what level. And each path, it's really hard. It's really hard to get to round 2, round 3, get to the regional tournament at any level, and I've heard it before too, where maybe at a small school the playoff runs is easier. No, it's not. You have some really good teams out of the Valley and small schools. So small school basketball, there's a lot of really great teams, especially here in the Valley.
Yeah, I agree because, like you mentioned, Santa Maria went to the regional tournament this year. Year before, you guys were there. Year before that, third round deep, 3 rounds deep. Yeah. And then you throw Santa Rosa in the mix, who was at state regional tournament. Yeah. So constantly these small schools.
There's always, and the year, like 5 years ago, maybe 6, San Isidro made the regional tournament.
Right.
So it's always, it seems, and I think Santa Maria's been there twice, and so there's always small schools deep, going deep into the playoffs.
And Port Isabel was even there as a 4A.
Yeah.
Our guy Hazelton. So switching gears, our last topic, Coach. I know the NBA playoffs. I know you're a big basketball buff. The NBA playoffs just got underway. Was it these last couple of days?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the NBA and just seeing this whole bubble deal?
Well, first, I'm glad that there's some kind of basketball back on TV or some kind of live sports. Obviously, that's back. Baseball's back. I think the bubble's a great idea. I think that's probably the safest way to have the season to continue. It's a different dynamic seeing them play, obviously with no fans. But it's great to see the competitive. And I think with the dynamic of the way the NBA is being played, you're starting to see different players get spotlights that really normally maybe in a regular NBA game, wouldn't be, like TJ Warren of the Indiana Pacers or players like that because of this dynamic and being less teams. There's players just all of a sudden getting noticed, and it's just fun to have some kind of basketball back. It gives somebody like me something to do, something to look forward to, somebody to root for. Obviously that the Spurs didn't make the playoffs. I gotta root for somebody else, but at least I'm having something to watch and a team to root for.
Well, who's your pick? What's your finals prediction?
Well, the two teams I'm actually rooting for are playing each other. I'm a big LeBron James fan, so Lakers, but I'm also a huge Damian Lillard fan. Even before he broke out these last couple, I just love the way he just shoots from the logo. But I'm pulling for LA or Portland. So obviously, whoever comes out of that series, that's what I'll be pulling for: the Los Angeles Lakers or the Blazers. I want one of those to win. And I think out of the East, it's going to be Toronto. I think,
really?
Yeah, I think, and the reason why I say this is I think they play extremely, really good defense, but I think that team wants to prove that they can get to the finals without Kawhi. And I think they're going to do it. I think that some of those players are stepping up. Fred VanVleet is playing amazing basketball. So I think it's going to be the Raptors. I hope it's the Lakers / Blazers. That's what I'm really hoping for, but I think out of the East is going to be Toronto in the way I kind of want them to for it to be them. So I'll go Lakers versus Toronto finals.
Definitely. Sounds like a good matchup.
I might be a bit biased because of LeBron James, but
that's okay. That's all right. Yeah, I wanted your pick there. The NBA is definitely a little different. Baseball. It's different in itself. I've been happy to I've been able to watch baseball too. It's this whole different deal with no fans, and I actually got to watch a little bit of basketball the other day, and I didn't realize that even on the benches, benches are 6 feet apart, and there's a big plexiglass up on the scorers table. But nonetheless, I'm glad that sports is back.
Coach, and I will say this: another motivation that I want the Lakers to win is obviously for Kobe Bryant. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Did you get your Kobe's, by the way? I know you had ordered some Kobe's.
Yeah. I got them in. I did wear them for a playoff game. I was lucky enough to get some, so I did get my Kobe's in a while back.
Little late on the TV on the docuseries, but were you able to finish watching The Last Dance?
Yeah, I saw every episode. I mean, it was like almost in a way reliving my childhood. I was a big Jordan fan. I was a big Dennis Rodman fan. So just seeing kind of like behind the scenes of that team, it was kind of crazy. I saw every episode in a way kind of made me kind of really relive my childhood, and that was just amazing basketball to watch.
Is that a series that you could tell your basketball players sit down and watch this?
Oh yeah, and a lot of it because, I mean, you want to be great. You talk about Michael Jordan being the greatest player of all time. But when you look at that series, I mean, you look at the competitive drive that he had, the dedication. Right. The team around him was really competitive, and the way he held his teammates at a high standard in practice. And I think if you want to show your team how to be great and what it takes to be great, that's a great series or documentary to show to your team and say, look, we talk about Michael Jordan being one of the greatest of all time. This is why. Look at his drive. I mean, and you look at you see the series, he would use anything as motivation. Oh, that guy spoke to me wrong. I'm gonna score 40 on you. that kind of thing, and it's I mean, he's greatest of all time, plain and simple.
He really is. Coach, before we wrap up, any shout outs or any message you want to give to your basketball players or your athletic program in general in San Perlita?
San Perlita athletic program, just again, stay working hard. By the time we'll be back working. I miss all of you guys. To my basketball team, I miss being around you guys. I love you guys. We'll be back at it, and we'll be ready to go when we get started.
Definitely. We're joined by San Perlita athletic director and head basketball coach Nate Garza, joining us from his home. Coach, it's always good to have you on here and chat. Like I said, you had been on here a couple of times before, and we thought we'd just have you back on to get the feel on what's the scoop on the athletic side over at San Perlita, and just what's to come for you guys when it comes to the basketball program. So again, thank you for taking the time to come on the show and talk with us.
Absolutely, Kevin. Thanks for having me, and thank you for everything you do for promoting all the kids here in the Valley and beyond.
Definitely. So tomorrow, Mark and I will be on the road. We're going to be heading over to Three Rivers for some football scrimmages. Friday, I'll be at Woodsboro for some volleyball. Joe will be at Buck Stadium. Corpus Christi Miller has a scrimmage. They may be playing Refugio. We don't know yet. Ingleside, they had an outbreak there, and so they had to cancel their scrimmage. So Miller's looking to fill in a scrimmage, but nonetheless, we're gonna have some more live sports here on Real Sports Live. And again, starting tomorrow, like I said, Mark and I will be up at Three Rivers covering some football. So there probably won't be any shows on Friday because we'll all be on the road up in the Coastal Bend covering some sports up there. So again, Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us, and we'll see you guys soon.